Hello, welcome to Retro Cheese Review, where I force my friends to watch cheesy movies. With me today is Isaiah. Hello, Isaiah. Go ahead and introduce yourself. I'm gonna give you a applause track real quick.
All right. Hi there. I'm Isaiah. I don't have any content to plug or anything. That's one of my New Year's resolutions is to start uh, making content on YouTube. So hopefully that'll come around this year. But I had some things to say about this movie. So I got a hold of Trevor.
Yeah, Isaiah recommended the movie that we're reviewing today, which is Super Mario Brothers. Not the recent one, the one from 1993. Which when you'd reached out and you said that, I was like, oh God, I have to watch that movie again, because it's definitely from my childhood. Um, So we'll be reviewing that today. I literally rewatched it like 2 hours ago. Rotten Tomatoes, again, this is from 1993, Super Mario Brothers. If you haven't seen it, good luck watching it, finding it. It's a 29% critic score, 29% audience score.
It's still better than Master of Disguise.
Master of Disguise, I feel bad because I think that's around the time Dana Carvey was getting like sick, so he kind of phoned it
Oh,
in.
gotcha.
Um,
I didn't do him any
so
favors.
Yeah, I don't. I'd have to look up if it was like when he was recovering or when he was sick. But I'm gonna go ahead and do a nostalgia rating of this. So, not to give anything away of the rewatch, but when I watched this as a kid, um, I was like, "Why is the guy from Who Framed Roger Rabbit playing Mario? And what the hell's going on?" I hate to admit it. I love cheesy movies, but I would have given this a 1 out of 5 as a kid. How about you, Isaiah?
Wow. I had a lot more pleasant memories with this movie. I mean, I never thought it was like inherently good, even as a kid. But man, I'd say I'd like 10-year-old Isaiah's probably given this like a 3 out of 5.
Like a three out of
Um,
five.
yeah, mainly just because most stuff in it is like dog shit, but the cast really holds it up for me. Like, I don't know. That's honestly my favorite part of the movie, especially John Leguizamo.
Yeah, who's
Um,
pretty much the star of the movie, let's be honest. Like, Bob
yeah,
Hoskins gets, like, the back burner for this movie.
yeah. Um, I feel like they kind of robbed Mario in the writing, and it seems like they had juggled around like a shit ton of actors before they went with Bob Hoskins. I know Danny DeVito was in the running for some time.
Danny
Uh,
DeVito would have been is good in everything, but I don't think he could even save this movie.
but he was going to direct it as well, so it
Oh,
would have been kind of in the vein of like Matilda, which I would have been interested to see.
it probably would have been better then. Yeah, and then
Yeah,
you've also got Dennis Hopper in this movie as King Koopa. You've got him. You know,
like
uh,
a really fantastic cast, and it just makes you wonder what happened with the powers that be. But that's where 10-year-old Isaiah gets his 3 out of 5 rating. Is I was a really big fan of the actors as a kid, and yeah, that's really the only redeeming factor for it. That and
that's
just seeing Mario in real life. Like we didn't have the 2023 film, or
yeah.
like we didn't have a feature film at that point.
Was the
Um,
Super Mario Brothers Super Show out yet? I gotta look that up.
I think it was actually.
So
It's
we
very
have
possible.
Super Show. Yeah, that Super Mario Brothers Super Show was '89, so it was well before it. So, I mean that. I
Yeah.
mean, as much as I love Bob Hodgkin, I'm saying his name wrong. Hoskins. Like Lou Albano or whatever his name was. Like he was better, I think, as Mario because he was given a better script. I think.
Well, he's also like when you watch the live bits of the Super Show, like they're very comedic
Hmm.
actors.
With the Mario Brothers and plumbing's a game. We're not like the others who get all the fame. If your sink is in trouble, you can call us on the double. We're faster than the others, you'll be hooked on the brothers.
Oh, it was
Um,
silly. Yeah.
it's very like built for a sitcom, and I think it works in their favor.
Yeah. No,
Whereas he's just
definitely.
kind of a grumpy old man in this one, who you could have put anywhere in that. I'm really interested, like the person who was absolutely going to do it. before he had two major flops in a row, and they thought he would be a liability, was Tom Hanks was going to be Mario. And I'm not saying it was going to be good, but like, I definitely want to see it. Like, it
Yeah,
scratches
this would have been
a
back
weird
when
itch.
Tom Hanks was still more of a romantic comedy guy before he got like the big
Yeah,
roles.
and that's what prevented him from getting the role. He had one movie with Meg Ryan that wasn't You've Got Mail.
Hmm.
Um, can't remember what it
Joe
was
versus the
called.
volcano.
Possibly that one flopped, and then there was one other one right before or after that. So those two in a row is what
The
stopped it.
Bur-
But he had already signed it.
My guess
He
is it
was
was.
like down.
My guess is probably the Burbs and Joe versus the volcano because I don't think those. I think they both flopped. That's my
It might have
guess,
been the
but I could be
Burbs.
wrong.
I
Big
think it was
big.
another rom com,
Oh, it
but I
could have
like the
been.
Burbs.
Yeah, no.
It,
The the Burbs is one of my favorite Tom Hanks movies.
yeah,
Gonna end up completely off topic if we go into a Tom Hanks direction. That would have been a completely
yeah,
different movie, though. I I mean,
most
before we
definitely.
even dive into the plot, like this movie, it's like almost become notoriously famous as like the Superman 64 ET for Atari of of movies of
It
video
it
game
is
movies.
it is the video game movie.
Yeah,
Like,
it was definitive proof that you couldn't make good video game movies, and until recently, studios really proved them right. Like most video game movies from the 90s, the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, video game movies were trash.
I can't think of like I can't think of many good ones, but I think this definitely
Yeah,
set the precedent of
yeah.
um like maybe Tomb Raider is
Low bar, yeah.
decent. Yeah,
Tomb Raider's okay. Yeah, you've even got, like,
yeah.
no offense, but even the Resident Evil movies are kind of meh.
They're milk toast, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
then you've got, Raul Julian's complete nightmare of Street Fighter.
I so it's kind of funny that like I think the ones that I like it aside from this one, but I'm a little biased towards this movie.
Hmm.
Um but I think in the 90s when people made um video game movies, I think the only formula to not completely bomb was to just completely derive it from anything it had to do with the game and just like slap the title on it.
Honestly, I think Detective Pikachu is what finally redeemed video game movies.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
Sonic, but Sonic got, like, shamed into being good.
and with Sonic and Pikachu, it's kind of hard to even call it a video game movie at that point when your IP is just so
So big at
vast.
that point, yeah.
It's similar with the Mario movie. I mean, they clearly took a lot just blatantly from the video games, but like there's so much IP to work with there.
Oh, with the new
Um,
one especially, because you got to figure 93, like, Mario was a big game, but they didn't have a lot to work with yet in 93.
yeah, and I think when you're such an icon that Mario, Sonic, Pokemon, like all these massive IPs have become, you don't have to explain as much.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of serves you in the long run. So like there wasn't some weird exposition about the Pokemon world in the Pikachu movie. We just kind of went with it. And within 30 seconds of this movie, you get this little monologue from Bob Hoskins that is just like, holy shit. Like it's a lot to take in. Like I almost want to find the transcription for it because he's like, imagine if a meteor that killed the dinosaurs created a parallel dimension that got trapped. And I'm
So,
just like, what?
not not to go completely down the rabbit hole, but I'm rewatching it and I'd forgot the whole dimensional merge thing. That the whole point was the two dimensions are merging, and like getting into the internet rabbit hole. One of the worst beings on the internet is Chris Chan, if you've heard of them, and
I'm very
yeah, they constantly talk about the dimensional merge, and I'm like, that's where that son of a bitch got it from. It has to be.
man. I mean, you hear about these great schisms in fiction all the time, but
Yeah.
if you know Chris Chan, like it's very likely that's where that
Yeah, like it has to
like
be with what
no
he's
question.
into.
Yeah,
Like
and
so like
that's
yeah, like getting a little bit into like some of the weird facts that I looked up for this. One, there's rumors that John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins hated this movie so much working on it because they didn't get along with the director and they did not like the script, but they were
yeah.
signed on, that they started showing up to the set drunk every day. And
Hmm.
between that and the fact that they made Bob Hoskins do his own stunt work, even though he was already kind of older and out of shape by then, like it led to both John Leguizamo crashing a car on set. At least none of these are confirmed, but this is a lot of what people have said. And Bob Hoskins breaking his hand, and if you can confirm in several scenes that he's in of him hiding his hand.
Yeah, and they actually just painted his cast skin colored, and so you can like see he's just got this weird like peeled off palm in some scenes, or
Mhm.
like right around the knuckle line. You can very clearly see that it's just like a painted cast of his skin tone.
Yeah, and
Um,
then sorry, go ahead.
I think it's really funny that they yeah I also heard the same thing. They frequently got drunk, and he actually injured his hand in a drunk driving scene. John Leguizamo was driving their Mario plumbing truck and had slammed the brakes so hard that it caused the door that was open to slam shut
Mhm.
on Bob Hoskins' hand. But that sentiment of the actors hating the directors and the writers hating the directors and the producers hating the directors is pretty much unanimous. They were very much so disliked from the get go.
Yeah, and I'm looking up like
Um,
the directors, like what they're known for, and
they are known for one thing, and it is not a movie.
it looks
Um,
like one of them directed the TV movie Max Headroom.
yeah, well, the whole Max Headroom character from the '80s that we know, that's all of them, and it really shows in the movie when you look at Dennis Hopper's
Yeah.
Koopa. If you look at Dennis
Oh,
Hopper's Koopa,
very, very Max Headroom. Like, yeah, you're
yeah,
right. Like, I'm looking it up now because I do research on the fly instead of doing what proper YouTubers do.
oh, it's fine. This is just a more fun version of a podcast when you
Yeah,
think about
exactly. I only have 58 subscribers. I'm not going to put that much work into it.
it. Until you get that AdSense check.
Yeah, wait until I hit 1,000 subscribers, then I'll start putting some work into it for that sweet $6 per thousand views. You know. The one thing I was like getting kind of into the cast though, like we got Bob Hoskins, we got John Leguizamo, Dennis Hopper, the one that plays Princess Daisy I think's fairly unknown. But then what's funny is one of the Koopa brothers. I was like, I recognize that son of a bitch, and I had to look him up. And he's like the idiot henchman in this, and then he's the main bad guy in the movie Hackers. And I'm like, you've just chosen you're like you at that point in the '90s, you've got Mario Brothers and Hackers on your resume. You should just fire your agent.
Yeah, I mean, but in a like how do you in a row just get the most notoriously bad films, like, or some of the most notoriously bad films, but they're also like star-studded. So
Yeah,
is it
and it
just
was the
really bad luck?
same guy. I mean, I'm looking and he still gets plenty of work. His name's Fisher Stevens, but
I
like he
just
was.
recently saw one. I just recently saw one of the henchmen.
Mhm.
I can't remember what it was, but I couldn't remember for the life of me where I'd seen him. And then, sure enough, it was the Mario Brothers movie, and that led to a
Mhm.
rabbit hole of my fiance never seeing it and buying it and watching it. But yeah, I can't remember what it was. It was very recent though. Like it was something that had just come out.
If it was him, I mean, he was in like that Asteroid City movie. I wouldn't have seen it because I'm not a fan of Wes Anderson. Just bluntly, I don't know. He was in a
Uh,
bunch of stuff.
I'm a big fan. I haven't gotten around to seeing that one though.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm
I
sure he
mean,
was an Oppenheimer.
probably. I've heard interesting things. I actually haven't seen that movie yet.
It's pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Um,
Um, Lots of random actors though. Like Josh Peck has no lines, but he's there in the movie.
One of those that everyone's in. But yeah,
Yeah.
this one, like, it has, a pretty big cast and a big budget for really how bad the movie, was. Like,
Yeah.
graphics wise, even. I'm like thinking, it's like, this is around the time, like, you got like movies like Terminator 2 and not even that far off Jurassic Park coming out.
Jurassic Park came out 2 weeks before this did.
Yeah.
That's a
And
huge
you
reason why it was such a flop commercially.
Yeah, and then you're putting out this crap, like graphic wise at least, like you're putting out stuff that like CG wise looks like it should have came out of the 70s.
What's really funny is that's where most of its budget went to, which is hard to believe. It
Yeah.
was like a lot of the CGI shots that are really unnecessary. Um, and then the Yoshi animatronic, which is just a dinosaur. Like,
Yeah, and the Yoshi animatronic was like really good.
yeah,
But then like King Koopa when they de-evolve him, he looks
yeah.
so bad. Like
I, I think a lot of it isn't incompetence. I think it is just poor creative choices.
yeah.
Um, Everything just looks like dog shit.
Yeah.
Um, it,
And
and
it's clear
it's
the writers never played a Mario game, I think.
well, so this is where I kind of defend this movie more than some people do because what Nintendo and the writers and producers had agreed upon was going to be a Mario Brothers film, very much so in the vein of think of like The Princess Bride was kind of the audience they were going for. Um, they had no intentions of this being the sci-fi film that it turned out to be. The directors, upon getting signed on, had changed the script immensely, and that's why the main cast was so frustrated because when they got to set the first day, they had realized, oh, we're in a sci-fi film now, and that was just so foreign. That's not what they signed up for. That was not told to
Yeah.
them at all.
And it wasn't a kids movie at all either. Like they were in like I was surprised because not only is it sci-fi, but we watched it as a kid, but I'm saying it wasn't targeting kids. It was like almost cyberpunk, dark, gritty.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think of a movie equivalent of it. It's like there's one that's coming to mind, but I'm drawing a blank of just like you said, very clearly not like for children, kind of that just dystopian commentary.
Yeah, it's almost if like obviously like I'm not a big Zack Snyder fan, but he would have done better than this. But in the same vein of like taking something light like Superman and making it dark, they're like taking Mario and making it dark and gritty, but
Yeah, and
not even in a good way. Like just like
just to do it, like it's
yeah,
very bizarre. I don't. So I know from the get-go, everyone was really upset with these directors and how they had just completely taken the movie over. Um, and I'm pretty sure it got so bad that they tried to like back out multiple times, or every time they
mhm,
would try to like get a hold of them, they would go directly to their guild for directors.
mhm.
I don't know if it was after our SAG or whatever guild they're a part of, but
Don't
they
remember. It's not
immediately
SAG, but it's they have their
might
own.
just yeah. But they took it to them a lot, from what I've been told. Like they didn't even Nintendo didn't even want them in the editing room uh, because they were just trying to salvage what they had done to this movie, and they instantly filed a grievance and they edited the whole movie. So I give a lot of lenience to the writers because um, they're still very proud of what they were trying to do. So much so that you can actually read a sequel to this movie, like continuity wise. There is a
Oh, the end
sequel.
of it, they even set up a sequel.
Yeah, and it's a comic book. You can read it online. The writer of this movie, uh,
I will have to check that out.
it's very bizarre, but it. I'll say, from what they had to work with, um, in the sequel, the world itself just feels a little bit better.
Cleaned
Um,
up what? Yeah, there was no
yeah.
way that Nintendo was gonna fund a sequel though, or the movie studios like
Oh,
after this.
absolutely not. No.
There's been everyone has tried to bury this. From what I heard, John Leguizamo wanted to be in the new one, and was upset that he didn't get called. But I
He
kept
seems to
making
be the only
joke.
one proud of it.
Yeah, I kept making jokes the whole time that I was watching this. That this movie was so bad that that's why he wanted to kill Santa Claus. If you've seen Violent Night,
Um, I was watching. What was it? It was a video of him. Maybe is it Vanity Fair or GQ that does the like actors walk through their careers
I'm
and
not
break down.
sure.
It might be Vanity Fair that does
Hmm.
these videos where they'll sit an actor down and break down every single movie of their career, their notable performances.
Hmm.
But they had John Leguizamo on there, and he kind of talked about how this was like even though it was panned by critics and he had like a horrible time making it, he
Hmm.
acknowledges that it was like it's what started everything for his career, like as a comedy
Oh yeah,
actor.
he was fairly like no name versus you had like he was the star also versus you got like Bob Hoskins as Mario and you assume he's gonna be the star because
Coming off
he
of what
Who
Who
Framed
Framed
Roger
Roger
Rabbit?
Rabbit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then Dennis Hopper was already a big name by then.
massive. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny
Um,
we're like 20 something minutes in and haven't even gotten into the plot just because I think we've just been talking about how crazy of a movie this is.
it's really just kind of how like it's the domino effect for me of um just everything outside of the movie is
Mhm.
just that's what tells the story. Nobody could tell you like the real plot of this movie.
Yeah.
Everyone just tells you the story of like nobody watched it, everyone hated it. It started this zeitgeist of hating video game movies.
Hmm.
Um, by almost single-handedly the fault of the directors in a lot of senses. Um, it's just that's that's really the important story. It's way more entertaining than the actual movie.
Oh yeah, like it's funny because it was so big budget though, and like because of this channel, I've been rewatching a lot of really low budget cheesy B movies, and the writing felt like a cheesy low budget B movie, like a lot. Like it was
Yeah,
very similar.
it had a very fanfic feel to it of just like kind of throwing things out there. Just did you watch the new Five Nights at Freddy's movie by chance?
I haven't yet. I will fully admit I am in an age group that I'm not in the FNAF fandom.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I felt like I stuck out like a sore thumb in the theater, but it had that same vibe to this movie of just kind of like you could tell things were being thrown as it was going on. Does that make sense? Like
Mm-hmm.
nothing was really set up. It was just kind of, oh, and this happened now.
This is
Like we had said from the first 5 seconds of the movie,
the,
they're talking about the dinosaur parallel dimension thing. It's just very in your face.
yeah, and not to get preachy, but this is like one of the biggest issues in Hollywood. And in my opinion, it's why the new Star Wars movies were trash. Something that we were always told in college, because I went to school for a creative field. You write backwards. You start with your end.
Hmm.
And like you're saying, you can tell they were just kind of pulling stuff out of their ass as they went.
Yeah, very much so. And I don't think it helps that they were kind of making the movie as they went, essentially,
Mhm.
with how often the script was rewritten.
Yeah.
Um, and I would really love to read the original transcript. I think it's out there somewhere. There's a whole website dedicated to archiving the history of this movie.
Mhm. Well, it's funny. The new movie, which was like a hit, you could tell they actually borrowed a little bit as a tribute. Like there were a couple little things, like the sewer scene, all that, that they
Yeah,
kind
I
of like. I was
definitely.
like, huh. That was like their little like nod that they weren't the first movie. I feel like.
Yeah, I definitely felt that, or maybe they kind of had the setup in the bag of just like, okay, well, we have the first 10 minutes of the movie already. Let's just, Disneyfy it a little bit
Mhm.
and
I
chip
yeah.
away at it.
I don't know if it was my attention span because I wanted to refer to you with this too. Were there huge plot things where like something would be going on and then they'd cut and it'd be like, well, how did they get there? Like at one point, Mario and Luigi get hit on the back of the head with something, and then it just shows they're just back up standing, no problem. And then at another point, the Koopa's girlfriend or wife or whatever it was, she gets locked in like a prison cell, and then suddenly she's like running around trying to get the meteorite, like nothing happened.
Um, I don't quite remember it, but I could definitely see how that would happen, or just this movie is such a, like I said, so much is in your face that you really can kind of like miss the continuity errors of it because there's just so many jump cuts onto the next thing, onto the next sentence. It's very easy to get lost in it. So I never noticed that, but I could definitely see um, how that would slip my mind completely.
Yeah. Well, and I'll
It,
fully admit that like part of it could have been the version I was watching because
hmm
I this is not available on streaming anywhere. You have the DVD. I was like, oh
hmm
shit, I have to watch it. I assumed I was just gonna buy it on Prime. If I can't find it streaming, I buy it on Prime for this channel because I'm like, it's like $5 to buy or rent a movie on Prime half the time. It's
Yeah.
nowhere. I had to watch on YouTube. Watch me get like a piracy thing for this. A cut down version of like 5 minutes at a time of someone recording off of their TV screen. And I have seen it before, but this was just because I've seen this
A
as a kid. I've
refresher.
seen it on TV, but I always want to do a refresher for this channel. I don't want to just go
Yeah.
in with my memory because your childhood memory isn't going to be necessarily what the movie actually was.
Yeah.
90% of the time with movies like this, they're way worse the second time, like when I rewatch them as an adult.
Yeah, this one in particular for me, I'm sure you watch more retro films than I do, granted what you do, but this one hit a little harder for me than some of the other ones I'd watched, just with that, like I said, the opening 5 minutes, I was just like, good God, like the weird CGI dinosaur lore, really was a lot to take in. It was not what I remembered, but
Yeah. And
yeah.
we're almost 30 minutes in, so I've been trying to almost get away from describing the plot because I don't know how to describe it, but I'll do it as quick of a summary as possible. The Mario brothers are exactly like they are in the 2023 movie. They're plumbers that are like broke. There's also Princess Daisy, not Princess Peach, not Princess Toadstool, Princess Daisy, and she's an archaeologist that's also an orphan. Luigi is obsessed with her and is asking her on a date. She agrees because she's worried because some shady business dude's like threatening her because of the archaeology dig site. You know, they end up, I don't know, they go down to a sewer because this guy's flooding the dig site. They end up in another world, which is the Mushroom Kingdom, which is literally just, it's fucking cyberpunk, only covered in fungus.
Yeah, there's no other way to describe it. It is like Blade Runner covered in fungi.
Yeah, like that's what they would have been ripping off at the time. Blade Runner, but there's fungus everywhere. There's vote for Koopa things everywhere, which doesn't posters everywhere, and it's Dennis Hopper. People are walking around with
Yeah.
eggs and strollers because they're all supposed to be humans, but they're evolved from dinosaurs. Dennis Hopper, who's Koopa, is, you find out he overthrew the old king. It's, why are there vote for Koopa things if he overthrew him and he's a king? But
Yeah,
and
and
he,
the weird like Nazi imagery kind of like
yeah,
in a lot of
yeah,
scenes.
yeah.
It's
And you
very
find out
bizarre.
he has a de-evolution machine, and he de-evolved the king to where he became the old king to where he became a fungus. And then he's just, that old king is just taken over the whole city fungus wise, like growing everywhere, getting into everything. He's also, for some reason, Koopa is he's a human. He's pretty much a Nazi dictator, and he's a germaphobe.
Yeah, I don't know if that was just like for the irony of that fungus is everywhere, and um I don't understand a lot of the
It's
creative
weird.
choices they did, particularly with Koopa. Like honestly, like the first 10 minutes of the movie, besides that weird exposition thing I've talked about 8 times, the actual New York parts of the film are actually pretty charming, and
Yeah.
honestly, what I remember, um, it's the second they get into the pipe situation, or the second they get into the weird city, it just becomes a completely different movie.
It completely lost opportunity of how they get into the Mushroom Kingdom. Is they fall through like a wall that's like a portal, and I'm like, you could have
Instead
had
of a
them fall
pipe.
through. Could have had them go through it, or they could have at least when going through the portal had like the pipe sound effect. I mean, come on.
Something of the sort. I mean, you could have even done like a Narnia thing where they go in one side of the pipe and then come out the other, and
Yeah.
they don't even notice and they have to do a double take. But instead, they choose this weird CGI, like, I don't even know how to describe it. They like become minerals, like they just become pebbles essentially, and then
So
kind of pop out the other side.
it looks like you're playing on a Virtual Boy, like a really bad like
Yeah.
early '90s VR game.
I get the same vibe of like what are those called where you put your hand in and it's got the little needles and you can like make shapes.
Yeah. Oh, and it's funny because you know they were going for that because John Leguizamo's like Luigi was playing with one of those in a scene prior in their apartment.
Oh, wow. So they thought to the word is lost on me. Oh my goodness. Foreshadow.
Yeah. Not good foreshadowing, but they foreshadow.
No.
But yeah, like plot wise, Daisy's been captured, but like her meteorite crystal on her neck fell off, and Mario and Luigi have it, and they chase after her to try to get her back. Some very big, Big Bertha lady steals the crystal from the meteorite from them.
And can I just say honestly, like, really bizarre scene, but like one of the highlights of the weird dystopian thing was
Yeah.
that weird nightclub scene.
Oh yeah, later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they are here. I'll let you continue, and we can get there when we.
Oh
get
no,
there,
no,
but-
no, definitely. Yeah, and it's funny because it's an old lady that tries to rob them, and then Bertha like robs the old lady, and then like jumps with like jump boots, and it's like, well, you're taking away Mario's power and giving them like the later on obviously jump boots. The police all have fireball guns to show like the fire flower stuff.
Yeah, and there's like weird taser guns, are there not?
Taser guns, fireball guns, no actual guns. They shoot short range fireballs. There's jump boots.
One bomb.
Yeah, one bomb.
That is probably the most lore accurate thing, or source material accurate thing in the whole movie.
The people running the garbage dump have masks that you can tell they were trying to make them look like Shy Guys, but instead they
Yes.
look like BDSM like Gimp mask.
Yeah, I remember that. Weird interactions with Toad, and he is like not Toad at all.
He's just a weird singer.
Yeah, with a funny haircut. That's like a lot of things, though.
Stay with your work. Ain't got no water anywhere. Food's bad. Close the air. Got no resources. In a great big stupor. All because of the evil king.
You know the law, Toad.
Hey, wait a minute. You can't arrest a guy for just singing a song.
For anti-Koopa song, we can. Plumbers.
And he gets turned into a Goomba. Because they find out that all the Goombas are
Yes.
essentially like they're de-evolving people's heads to like tiny little dinosaur brain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
You say it out loud, and, like, when you're watching the movie, you don't really think about it because, like I said, it's just so fast paced. But now that I'm sitting here, like, thinking about some of the things that happen, it's just like, how did they get away with that?
Well, and they have like all these stupid henchman chase scenes and stuff in the movie, and instead of using like Mario music for it, they've got like the generic '90s chase music that's like in every like in like Honey I Shrunk the Kids and stuff. They just keep playing.
That
Like this-
same song is drilled. It is drilled in my head to this day, and I agree with your sentiment 100%. Like, you could put that over Home Alone, and I would not bat an eye.
Which way?
Take the parkway.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it's used in Home Alone and in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Home
Or at least something
Alone,
very similar.
yeah. I'll say Home Alone has a better soundtrack all around, but
Yeah.
it was not lost on me that it was definitely from something else. I couldn't tell you what, but
Well, there's a reason the director of Home Alone kept getting, more and more work after Home Alone, and this director didn't.
yeah,
director. But
very
yeah.
bizarre. I think they got blacklisted after this movie. If
Oh,
I read
probably.
correctly.
Yeah.
They did like 2 commercials and they were never seen again.
Whereas, like, the director of Home Alone did literally everything. Like, every childhood movie that everyone loves was directed by Chris Columbus.
Yeah, Harry Potter. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. I would have loved to have seen him direct this, honestly.
Yeah, he would have done a much better job. But yeah, we're
'cause-
like... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just thinking. I think why I'm so biased to this movie is that there's a decent movie in there, and it's just covered in fungus.
Yeah. No, that's a good analogy. Yeah.
Like, if you think about the cast of this versus the 2023 Mario film, like, I would rather watch this cast 9 times out of 10.
Oh yeah, it's a better cast. As much as, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Charlie Kelly, and he was Luigi, but still.
Yeah, there were a handful of good performances, but I think my problem with the new one is Mario and Peach are just very lackluster.
Oh, they phoned it in completely. Both of them do.
And it just, I don't know. I don't like the sentiment that this is like the bad one and then we have the good one now, where it's like, I don't think it gives the story enough credit. Like,
Yeah.
there's a half decent movie in there somewhere.
The new one, I think that Jack Black saved that movie. The new one.
Oh, most definitely. Commercially, without a doubt.
Jack Black also, like, he put in 110% in that movie with the voice acting.
Yeah. I think Keegan-Michael Key did a fantastic job as well as Toad.
100%.
I thought that was super fun.
Yeah. But Chris Pratt and Anya Taylor-Joy just phoned in their roles. They're just like, oh, we're voice acting now.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't really feel like there was effort put in at all, especially on Anya Taylor-Joy's side of things. And it makes me sad because she's one of my favorite actresses. But
oh, she's great in The Menu, but yeah, she did not do
very
a good
lackluster
job. Yeah, it was
also,
lazy.
John Leguizamo is in that movie, so there's a connection.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I
wonder if
didn't
they
even think
talked
about
about
the Mario
they
movie.
talked about-
Just sat and talked about it for a while.
It's like, hey,
That'd
I
be
know what
funny.
you're trying to do. Is there any way I could get a connection in there?
That would have been funny. But yeah, like, plot-wise, I'm not going to take too much on it, but they have Yoshi. As you said, he's the best, like, what they spent the most on, probably, is just... I don't know, he's got a de-evolution machine, Koopa does, and he's trying to get the meteorite necklace and the princess so they can put it in the meteorite, because you find out that a meteor sent all the dinosaurs into another dimension, and they evolved into humans for some reason. And their planet's almost all desert, and he wants to, like, merge the two dimensions. So he's trying to Chris Chan dimensional merge. I don't know, like, the plot... Somehow Mario's girlfriend is also there, as well as a bunch of other, like, Italian, like, mafia-looking wives. One of them always has a cigarette in her hand, no matter what they're doing. I don't know how they even got there. I think that the idiot, sidekicks, which there's always idiot henchmen in these movies. I think they kidnapped the wrong women over and over again until they finally got Daisy. But,
yeah, I believe they just found they were just finding human women.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't make sense, because it would make sense if they were like all creatures or dinosaurs or something like that, but they're not. They're just normal looking people on their world, so it makes no sense that they would get it confused
Yeah.
that often. Maybe it's a joke that's lost on me, but it doesn't land. It's just kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
there's another hindrance to this. I did
No,
think it was kind of a
definitely.
funny note that Mario's girlfriend is like very clearly supposed to be the one from Donkey Kong, or at least it appeared so.
Yeah, you're right. She looks a lot like I always forget her name, but yeah, the one
Is it
from Donkey Kong.
Maria? Something like it starts with an
Yes.
M.
I know she was the mayor of one of the cities in Mario in Odyssey.
Yeah, yeah. She has a whole musical number in the commercial. I enjoyed that a lot.
It was the best part of Odyssey is when they do that song.
Yeah. Um,
But
there's a
yeah,
we I so I don't know if you know picked up on this as well, but if we're gonna talk about like how they bled certain things from the games into the movies,
yeah, little
one that
things.
it very vague hints where like I almost feel like I'm crazy for thinking it, but it's like no, this is a Mario movie. That this has to be intentional. But there's a scene where the big bad of the Earth realm, Scapelli, he's like the number one plumber in New
Yeah,
York, gets devolved
yeah, into a
with
monkey.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's literally an ape in a tie. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, so is this like them nodding at Donkey Kong? Is that what this is supposed to be?
I think it was a nod, but it wasn't even well done because he's just
It's
like
not.
he's a chimp and not a gorilla.
Yeah. Um, but it's one of those ones where it made me think like, um, I see what you're doing, but you're not doing a good job at all.
Hmm. Yeah, and kind of getting through the rest, like Koopa, he evolves instead of de-evolving his henchmen to make them smarter, but they're still kind of dumb. They act smart, but they're still dumb. And then you find out after he's evolved them, they want to overthrow Koopa. They end up in like a club scene where Mario hits on the one Bertha, um, and she ends up
Yeah.
like she punches him, and then he hits on her again, and they dance, and then she ends up giving them jump boots and holding off the like Koopa's men. I
Yeah.
don't know if you noticed, but the cartridges for the bolts were the bullets.
Yes, I did. Yeah. Very similar to the Bub-omb prop.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And like I don't know, like I'm skipping through a lot of the plot, but I also know how
there's not much
Longhorn.
to skip through.
Yeah,
I mean,
essentially, like Mario fights Koopa. Koopa's wife, girlfriend, or whatever, like rejoins the the meteorite into the meteor, and it causes the dimensions to merge. But Luigi uses his plumbing stuff, and Daisy uses her, I don't know, Daisy strength. I guess that she's the princess to yank out the meteorite and
a girl
undoes
boss.
undoes the dimensional merge, and then Mario de-evolves like with the help of the Bub-omb blasting him. The king, which is his fungus, using the fungus to redirect where the Bub-omb goes, and then I think Daisy throwing him a de-evolution gun. He de-evolves Koopa, who turns into a dinosaur and then turns into slime. And in that whole scene, he's in like what looks like a really industrial, like, I don't know, big ball, but they're clearly trying to make it look like what like Bowser Jr.'s in, the big like flying ball thing.
I didn't even pick up on that one.
Yeah, he's in that, and he's got like the fireball gun. So he's like in the big ball firing the fireballs. I don't even know what Mario's would have been out by now, so I don't know if it would. I think Bowser was in one of those in a game at one point. Let's see.
I think yeah, it would have been because I'm pretty sure like Super Mario World had like just dropped.
I think it would have been, yeah, and I think Super Mario World had Bowser Jr. Let me see. Super Mario World would have been. I'm trying to remember when it came out. I'm going to the page to figure out when it came out, and I'm not getting a very good because I don't research this stuff ahead of time. World release date. It would have been 1990, so it would have came out a couple years before this. So yeah.
Yeah.
So that would have had Bowser Jr. in it, so they would have had that. So yeah, like they end up saving the day, and then Daisy has to stay behind because that's where her parents are. You never find out who Luigi's parents are because you find out, even though he calls Mario his brother, that Luigi was also an orphan. I think and Mario raised him. So I think they're hinting that he's from there also.
Oh,
Um,
what I had assumed was that it was kind of um he had lost his parents, so his big brother stepped in and took care of him. That's what I had thought when he had
so you
claimed
didn't
to be
think
an
they were.
orphan.
Oh,
I
that
don't
could be
know.
the case also. See, I was thinking that they were like setting up for the sequel that he was from there also. I don't know.
No. I gotta brush up on the comic book. I read it one time, but it it was better than this movie, but it was also still kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Um,
What
yeah, I'm trying to think what the moral of the story was. Oh, just believe. That's the big narrative throughout the
believe?
whole thing.
Yeah,
It,
because they're trying to get
that's the
Mario to believe, and by the end he does.
by grabbing fungus.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and the
you wouldn't
stupid thing
really get
is,
it.
Toad, who's the only Goomba that's like helping them, because he's maintained. Him and the other Goombas don't evolve back because why would they just magically evolve back because of the death of Koopa? But the king just magically evolves back
He
into a
definitely
human.
does at the very. He just like kind of morphs back into his throne.
Yeah, and he says
Say,
something
I
like, "I
love
love
those
the."
plumbers.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Yeah, and then the movie ends with like they're back in Brooklyn and everything, and he's all sad because Daisy stayed behind. But then she shows up with like a gun, and she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna need your guys' help," and that's like clearly just setting up a sequel. Uh,
Yeah, and
yeah,
they still conclude the big story with Mario saying, or she says, "It's crazy over there," and he goes, "I believe it." And
yeah.
then obviously
Believe.
Luigi's like, um, "Yay, we did it!" He finally believes. It really, the ending is it. A lot happens very quickly.
And Mario
They
saves the day multiple times with the use of his plumbing tools.
Yeah, which I can't hate. It's kind of
Yeah.
it starts even at the beginning with they're trying to find Daisy, and
Hmm.
he's like, "No, they went this way. I've been listening to pipes my whole life."
Yeah. And he
And
also like he's weakened all the Koopas by like because they're cold blooded from being dinosaurs, so he shuts the heat off
yeah,
because that's the
um,
same as plumbing.
pretty
Although I
much.
guess actually in New York, and it's similar setup. Like it's all like steam heat, so it probably would be similar.
I mean, he can probably work his way around some gas as a former
Yeah.
HVAC installer. Uh, Water heaters are basically just wet furnaces, and you can
Water
quote me
heat,
on that.
water heaters or wet furnaces. No,
Yeah.
that's probably true. Um,
Um, I'm sure there's some technician out there who would love to disagree, but um,
so we'll go ahead and get into like what we thought of it rewatching because this is going to be probably one of the longest videos, just probably because this is the craziest movie we've reviewed on this
there's so much
channel.
lore.
Yeah. So diving in like nostalgia wise, what would you give your rewatch rating of this?
Um, Definitely like a 1.5
Okay. I
um, out of 5, yeah. Or probably out of 10, a 1.5.
I, so you're going a little bit lower then. I'm gonna say that I'd give it a 2, if only because I hated it so much as a kid, because I was so much that's not Mario, and now I don't care as much about them butchering Mario, but it's still just a really bad movie.
Yeah. Um, I um, I I think what makes it so fun now is just the spectacle of it. But that being said, I definitely don't look at it as like the fun family friendly movie I used to when I was a kid. Now
Yeah.
I just kind of watch it like I would watch The Room, um, in a so bad it's good type of way, or just kind of
Tommy
like
Wiseau presents Mario Brothers.
it might turn out better than this did. Who knows?
Oh
Um,
hi Daisy.
um, yeah, I think another thing that was really fun with this is my fiance had never seen it before, so I made sure to get her in on this viewing.
Mhm.
Um, and that definitely helped get rid of my nostalgia glasses.
Having someone else just shit talk. It's funny because I do that a lot with Felicia, and the movies I truly loved as a kid, she'll like be talking crap about them, and I'll still look over and just be like, "No, go to hell. This is a great movie."
Yeah.
But this movie's different because I didn't even like it as a kid. But like when we're watching like Transformers 1983, everyone gives me crap for liking that movie, and I'll be like, "Shut up! It's a rock opera."
It's yeah, there's some movies that I will like. There are hills I will die on, and this one I partially do. It's a very love-hate relationship with this movie because I can see the exoskeleton, and I'm really good at ignoring all the craziness of it. But when I look at it objectively, and I watched it again very recently, and I was just like, yeah, this is a pretty horrible movie.
This is a terrible movie.
I almost didn't want to finish it.
It was rough to finish, especially like rewatching on like people will be like, it takes this long to edit these videos. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time to get, but like I was watching it today on New Year's Day. After like I'm not really a drinker anymore, but I was up pretty late last night, and I was watching it still half asleep with a sinus headache, and just being like, why am I watching this damn movie?
Yeah, and especially from the angle you had to watch it at with this pirated I'm sure it makes it even more
Oh yeah,
intense.
it was interesting because it was in 5-minute clips too, in a playlist. I'm saying this
Yeah.
now, and then that's gonna get. I'm glad I'm not monetized because this video would get demonetized for me just saying that probably.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
I don't. It doesn't
They,
matter. I'm 940 something subscribers away from being able to monetize, so we're good.
hell yeah. I would have been cussing a whole lot more if I would have known. But
Oh yeah,
um
like I curse plenty in these videos. Well, we're at
um
almost an hour, so I don't want to cut it off short, but I also know
yeah.
that Felicia's going to hate me if I send an hour video over to her for editing.
You got 2 days to render.
Yeah, you got 2 days to, or yeah. That and my poor 2 terabyte hard drive's getting filled up to where I'm going to end up buying a portable hard drive for these videos instead of, filling up my my gaming drive. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get to the end with this. Thank you so much. I didn't even want to cut you off short or anything, but I know we're pretty well at the end.
Yeah, I don't have much to say.
Thank you so much again, Isaiah. If you ever want to be on again, definitely let me know. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed this review, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. If you liked this movie and disagree with us, leave hate comments. Argue with us. If you agree with us, leave comments. Even though Rob wasn't here, leave a hate comment for Rob. And thank you all. Bye.